Good morning, welcome to our Saturday morning broadcast. You've seen us live and direct for 50 years now. We thank you for your support. They want to give a shout out to the first defenders, those doctors and nurses and police who protect us, defend us. My friends, honor the protocol. Wash your hands. Stay at home. Don't congregate in crowds. If you have any sign of dysentery or fever, you have some evidence, don't wait. Get your doctor's orders right now. Test for your family. We're also leading the fight here to fight for those in prison. We say often that the most vulnerable are the citizens. But citizens, they can stay home alone, can be visited. 2.5 million in jail, they can't stay 6 feet apart. They need our help. We make the case they must be tested. Those who are sick should be separated from those who are well. And those who are nonviolent should be let out on monitoring bracelets. We must not give up on fighting for justice for those who backs against the wall. I want to express my thanks to you on behalf of Rainbow Push as we look at today's broadcast. We need your support. We really need your support. 773-FREEDOM, rainbowpush.org. Call us right now at Freedom R. Support us at Rainbow. Write a check right now, 2020. Rainbowpush.org. God bless you and see you next week.
Hello, this is Pastor Marshall Hatch, New Mount Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church on the great west side of Chicago in West Garfield Park. And of course, we are surviving through the coronavirus pandemic. And that pandemic, of course, in many quarters is causing a certain amount of panic and in some cases pandemonium. So we want to certainly give people an assurance that we will get through this, and important that we follow the guidelines of the public health professionals to make sure that we are compliant with creating social distance so that we can stop the transmission of this virus from person to person and flatten that curve. And so, of course, as spiritual leaders, we want to do all that we can to encourage people to comply, and then also, of course, spend time with their families. So we've encouraged people to spend time with their families, take this opportunity to brush and hone up on those home cooking skills, spending time together. God does have a way of bringing us back to some basics. And that is, of course, learning to enjoy one another's company and know what is most important, which is, of course, being with our loved ones and our friends. And then, of course, loving our neighbor, in this case, by creating social distance so that we can get through this crisis with a minimum amount of loss of life. And so we are here on the west side. We're surviving and in some cases thriving because what we lost and what we are losing materially, we're gaining spiritually. And so we want everyone to remain encouraged and know that we will get through this together. God bless you.
Hi, I'm Frederick Douglass Haynes III, Senior Pastor of Friendship West here in Dallas, Texas. And of course, this is a time like we have never experienced. We are trying to navigate these uncharted waters of the coronavirus crisis. And so as a consequence, our church is having to make adjustments. We are what they call in jazz, engaging in improvisation in order to reach and to minister not only to our congregation, but make a difference and impact the world. So these are the things we are doing internally at Friendship West. We have adjusted to doing worship strictly online. And so on Sundays, instead of people coming to the church house, we're trying to make sure we bring the church to the house church. I like that right there. And that is every home now becomes a church home. And so we stream our services through various social media avenues into the homes and the phones of persons who can watch us. That's the first thing we're doing. It's an hour of power. It is an effort, again, to ensure that worshiping on Sunday, Bible study during the week still goes on. It's just done in a streamed fashion. Basically, it's a production that we do every single week. And so the first thing we're engaging is taking advantage of technology so that worship still takes place. Studying God's Word still can take place at Friendship West. And so friendshipwest.org, as well as our Facebook Live page, our YouTube channel, all of those are vehicles whereby persons can stay connected with us and worship our great God who is greater than Corona. We also are encouraging our members to stay connected with us through the various means of social media. So we are shifting ministry so that ministry now takes place taking advantage of technology. And so with that being the case, we are still holding various meetings, but the meetings take place through the various means of technology, from Zoom meetings to conference calls. All of those are vehicles that we use to stay connected. I've also done a robocall prayer that keeps the members prayed up and hopefully encouraged, and received a wonderful response to that. And then, of course, we are a church that is about doing the work of justice, and we are looking continuously for ways to impact public policy during this time. We're able to lead an effort here in Dallas locally that resulted in Justices of the Peace making a commitment to put a moratorium on evictions during this time. And we are further calling for them to put the rent that will be due at the end of the period of 60 to 90 days. We want that on the back end of the agreement. And we're going to push for this moratorium as long as this coronavirus crisis continues. We are also engaged in an effort to ask our county as well as our city to put together a resource bank. And this resource bank is going to be for those who have lost employment during this time, as well as those who are struggling during this time. This resource bank will be a bank for employment opportunities as well as financial resources. And we also hope to set up through the witness and ministry of the church, because we're going to run out of hospital rooms. And we know that there are some who are going to get treated. Others are going to be cared for. And so we are making available our huge parking lot to be one of those tents on our side of town, in our community, a place of care for those who perhaps will not be able to get into the hospital. But again, the deal will be they will have a tent that is well stocked with the best resources and equipment, and persons can be taken care of. And so those are just some of the things that we're doing. I should mention that our Faith Formula Ministry is giving grocery bags to those who are struggling during this season. We do this all year, but we're especially upping what we do during this time. And so those are just some of the things that we're doing. The work continues in the midst of this crisis. We're trying to be at our best, even though this crisis is one of the worst we've experienced, definitely in my lifetime. So I'm praying for everyone who is doing the work. Let's keep doing this work, because here's the good news. When things are at their worst, that's when God and God's people should be at their best. And we don't have to just sit around and stew in anxiety. We can get up and do something. And so that's what we are doing. We're trying to make a difference during this time of disruption. God bless you, and God bless your work. Peace.
This is, I think, the most important segment that we have. When we talk about the impact of coronavirus, many people are going through, as you know, a crisis emotionally, and they don't quite know how to handle this. Some people are misreading the scriptures. You know, they think it's the end times and Jesus is coming back today or tomorrow. Well, I thought it would be helpful for you to at least let's engage in a conversation about faith and what the faith community is doing and how we are responding and should respond to this coronavirus. This is not the first time we've had plagues in our biblical times or real time. And so I have Reverend William Hall. He used to be a regular.
Yeah.
And then he became pastor of the St. James Lutheran Community.
No, that's not the name of the church.
What's the name of your church?
St. James Community Church.
St. James Community Church. And then we have Professor Ted Williams III, who is also a minister.
Yes.
And so we want to talk about what's the faith community's response? So you've been doing a lot of stuff.
Yeah, so the first thing I think is for pastors, this is a hard time. You know, the day-to-day work of a pastor is more than preaching. And now we are seeing that there's some tough decisions that pastors have to make for the wellness, literally the wellness of the congregation, the fiscal responsibilities of the congregation, the discernment on what direction to take the congregation. That's a lot. And that's without the outside tension of this corona situation. And so everything has been spiked up times two. I think that pastors have to be sensitive to the both ends. You have those who have this fearless zeal and faith and believe that, you know, there's a level of invincibility with them and that group in the church. Then you have others in the church that are flat out just erring on the side of caution. Still children of God, still love God. And I think that the pastor has to be intentional about feeding both ends. I don't think it's an either or. And also respecting government. If government says no, we're not in a Christian persecution situation here. This is just a health crisis. And so at the end of the day, if the government is saying to us, hey, this is what is needed to adhere to the law, you know, is not a bad option. And I think that pastors cannot minimize or should not minimize faith in the name of or maximize faith, in the name of disobedience.
Yeah. We have to figure out a way to live out Mark 1 on verse 40, where Jesus healed the man with leprosy. How do we touch people today? How do we touch them physically? How do we touch them spiritually? Maybe we're looking at ways that we can still touch them without sort of putting ourselves in positions to take on these diseases. However, historically, the church has always sort of stepped in.
What we've done is we started something called the Good People Collective. It's simply an opportunity to bring everyone to the table. The Good People Collective is a collective of faith leaders, civic leaders, political leaders, those in different sectors and corporate. And there's no one person in charge. Collectively, we are sitting at the table analyzing 3 different demographics that are being hurt. The hourly worker, especially those in the hospitality and restaurant industry, our seniors, as you just mentioned, and then lastly, those young people who are displaced. And so what we've done in just 48 hours, we've all collected some funds and we have done the work. We have paid the day wages of bus boys, waiters, waitresses, hostess, and those, we must understand is those that work in the industry do not make a lot of money.
No, they're not getting hourly wage.
Hourly wage.
They're living on tips. I know
exactly.
about that.
And so with our seniors, you know, it's the anxiety and the stress. I went to the grocery store, and you know, usually I leave a cart in the store in the aisle, and then you know walk away for a few. Now I have to, you know, somebody was looking exactly. So getting things for our seniors and last but not least our young people to transport unexpectedly things is $300, $400 that they didn't have. You don't have the work study job no more. So this collective of people, again, the idea is to bring as many people as a table to provide financial assistance while we wait for, and we cannot. And so these little things are to just keep the hope, hopefully inspire others to do good.
And I think the whole communication that you're talking about, seniors are not in social media as much as they could be and should be, because they don't even know how. I called one of our members who's 90.
You're not there
don't
yet.
talk to me. Talk to me. Get your social distance.
Gotcha. Now you want a social distance.
Yeah, I want distance now. I talked to one of our members who's in her 90s. Wow. She was just glad for the conversation because you not only don't go to the house, you don't call either. So And that's a way that young people who know social media, know this new technology, that there's a connection there that we need to make.
Yeah.
You can do one-on-one with a distance, but she told me her grandson was going to come by and show her how to watch church online. You can't tell them to go online; they can't get online.
Right.
And so there you have this connection. But I think this takes us back to the New Testament church, where they went house to house,
Yeah.
small group ministry,
Well,
never ceased to
Yes.
quit praising God. You don't have to have 10,000 people
yes.
to praise God, to teach the Word of God, and to engage. And those conversations can happen virtually, but they can also happen in small groups.
I'll say that quickly, in the Chinese language, the word crisis and opportunity are the same word. And so this crisis has given us an opportunity as a church to step up. We actually hosted a house church service in our home last week in the middle of the crisis. And people were like, oh, why would we do that? So we had hand sanitizer and we had all the wipes and stuff like that, but we wanted to have church and we had small groups. We were able to eat together as a family and that sort of thing. And we're going to continue doing that because when the world is separating, the church must decide to love. And there are different ways to do that, but this is our time to shine.
But the other side of it is that when you look at the ministry of Jesus, you don't see Jesus doing revivals. You see Jesus doing work for days. And this notion of capitalistic Jesus, I think, has now fallen because it's impossible now for churches to gather in the name of the brand, in the name of, and pastors, a lot of them are scrambling now to quote unquote still deal with the fiscal responsibility, but forsaking human life. Jesus, I believe, will be on the side of the hourly worker right now.
It would be.
Jesus will be on the side of those that are in hospitals that are not getting visitors, figuring out a way to reach those. And then let's not forget about those. The poor will always be amongst us. They were being treated like they had corona before the corona. And so those that are under viaducts, those that are in spaces, if Uber Eats can deliver for free and say, we'll meet you outside, why can't we meet a homeless person outside in a way that says care? So we have to reintroduce our congregations to compassion, justice, and love in action.
And the Jesus model is very simple. The woman with the issue, Jesus met her on the street.
Absolutely.
Because he was outside dealing with issues, and he didn't touch her, she touched him. And sometimes if we are there, our presence will allow them to touch us and get the healing and the support they need. You can't support people that you don't know. And we have locked ourselves into, this is my congregation, because you're looking at
Empire.
There you go. Empire and income. And I understand the cost of maintaining buildings. We got to deal with maintaining people.
Absolutely. And I think that even
it's a challenge.
And even this divide that we see, oh man, you all should be online. It costs.
It costs
for
to be online.
For our congregation, as we are now progressing and now we're turning the corner in which we have some things, just to go and purchase a camera to get, that was a $1,300 expense, unexpected in 48 hours. Not every church has the capacity and to do it with quality.
And everyone's online now. So now you got 50, 100 ministers all online at the same time trying to preach to people.
I think that this is an opportunity for those virtual conversations amongst this church. If you have the platform,
then let's work together.
Hey,
let's figure it out.
We're going to have a 4-hour service where, Reverend Hall will have the first hour, tune into it. So we should share what we
got
have
to
to
share.
connect people.
And that's the other thing. All of these, I've looked in all of our major denominations, small congregations not growing because you keep doing the same thing in this society. And coronavirus has said one thing to us: you must change.
Absolutely.
You can't keep doing business as usual. And so I think this collective that you talked about, sitting down at the table and working together. The church is more divided than even the rest of the country in terms of how we do.
Absolutely.
Sunday is the most segregated time in America, or in America for sure.
So I imagine, and I know we have to go, but what would this be like? What would this situation be like if we did three things? Number one, congregations take a portion, absolutely, take a portion of their collection and put that collection in a pot in which we focus on the worker, the elderly, and those young people. What would it be like, secondly, if churches shared what resources that they had to allow the gospel still to go forth? One faith, one God, one baptism. And then last but not least, what if we just made it an effort to continue to care in ways you can care without touching? People want to know, in the words of Reverend Jackson, that you care.
That's right.
Yeah. And I would say, to piggyback off my brother here, this is a great opportunity for fellowship, koinonia, for the family of God to come together, for us to eat in our homes and to love one another. This is also a great time for us to show compassion to the world, to collect, as he said, for various people. But it's time for the church to come together. Ecumenical outcomes and ecumenical opportunities for us to be together and not sort of in silos, my church, your church, my church, your church. Let's work together.
Absolutely.
And so we want you to keep hope alive. This is not the end of the world. It is the beginning of our united effort to rejoin and recommit ourselves to serving, to meeting needs, and to collectively sharing the resources that we have. That's what PUSH has always been about. It's not me against you, it's us together, making sure that everybody's in and nobody's out. We thank Reverend Jackson for his comment and for his continued service and work. Reverend Jackson, thank you for allowing us to do the program.
Absolutely.
We appreciate you, and we appreciate your leadership, and what you have shared with us, even on these 2 broadcasts, is so powerful. I don't know how you do all you do and keep going like you go. Thank you. As we keep hope alive, we are, and you are, somebody.
At first, you might think it's a cold, and it could be, but COVID-19 could escalate. Here's what you need to know. According to the World Health Organization China Joint Mission on COVID-19, as of February 20th, 80% of laboratory-confirmed cases were mild to moderate, 14% were severe, and 6% were critical. Just to be clear, a mild case of COVID-19 is not like a mild cold. The symptoms will still be pretty severe. Anything less than needing oxygen puts you in this category. Severe cases do need supplemental oxygen, and critical ones are defined by respiratory or multi-organ failure. The symptoms, treatments, and timelines of when it might feel like a cold or the common flu. Many patients develop fevers early on. The World Health Organization China Joint Mission saw that about 88% of people who had COVID-19 had a fever. Another study out of China showed that while only 44% of patients had a fever on admission to a hospital, 89% eventually developed one. This isn't the norm, though, because COVID-19 is a respiratory disease. That means for most patients, the virus will start and end with the lungs. Other symptoms that can appear around this time are fatigue, sore throat, headache, joint or muscle pain, chills, and a runny nose. By day 5, patients with pre-existing conditions might find that they have trouble breathing, and it usually takes about 7 days for a person to go to a hospital. Mild cases, though, usually clear up by this time. But those with moderate to critical cases will have developed pneumonia, which can range from non-life-threatening to severe. Recovery time for these patients could be anywhere from a few days to weeks. For some severe and critical cases, though, symptoms can escalate into acute respiratory distress syndrome. Early studies found that most people who die of the disease will do so within 14 to 19 days, and on average, people who recover are released from the hospital after 2.5 weeks. As of now, there is no vaccine for the virus, so the best way to avoid getting sick is to avoid being exposed. COVID-19 spreads easily from person to person through coughing and sneezing, so wash your hands often and avoid close contact with people who are sick, and clean and disinfect surfaces that you use daily. COVID-19 should be taken seriously, but most cases are survivable, so stay home, stay clean, and don't panic.
Today, I have a message for young people. You're not invincible. This virus could put you in hospital for weeks or even kill you. Even if you don't get sick, the choices you make about where you go could be the difference between life and death for someone else. I'm grateful that so many young people are spreading the word and not the virus. Solidarity is the key to defeating COVID-19. Solidarity between countries, but also between age groups.
We know that we're asking Americans to do a lot right now. So we're asking everyone to be selfless for others so that we can protect those who are most susceptible to this virus.
A question I often get asked is, why should young people care about the spread of coronavirus? Well, we know that people with underlying medical conditions over the age of 60 are at highest risk, but they've got to get it from somebody.
Social distancing is really physical separation of people.
It's what we refer to when we ask people to stay at least 6 feet apart.
Not going to bars, not going to restaurants, not going to theaters where there are a lot of people. It all just means physical separation so that you have a space between you and others who might actually be infected or infect you.
We all have a role to play in preventing person-to-person spread of this disease, which can be deadly for vulnerable groups. For more information on how you can social distance, please go to coronavirus.gov.
We need your support. Here are ways to give to Rainbow Push Coalition. Text PUSH, P-U-S-H, to pound 41444 to support the work of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. and Rainbow Push Coalition. When you shop, Amazon gives. Visit Amazon Smile and select Push for Excellence as your charitable organization by starting your shopping at smile.amazon.com.
Hi, I'm Todd Yeary here outside Dr. King's workshop, the Rainbow Push headquarters, where people of goodwill from all walks and all places gather as comrades in the movement for justice and equality. Social justice movements have been birthed in the imaginations of people in places just like this. You can be a part of this justice movement too. Join Rainbow Push as we fight for justice in the 21st century. Go to rainbowpush.org or dial 773-FREEDOM and remember, keep hope alive.
Good morning. We are in the midst of a major drive to get more members, more people engaged and involved in Rainbow Push, supporting the programs of Push for Excellence and the Citizenship Education Fund. If you're interested in public policy and you want to help change the policies that impact those incarcerated, change the policies that impact students attending colleges and universities, if you want to be a policymaker, then you need to join Rainbow Push and join by paying your $35 right now. Some of you watch us every week. You listen to us on the radio. You're viewing us in social media. We need you to become a member. It's only $35 a year. If you believe in the scholarships that we give to thousands of students each and every year, we've awarded more than $10 million to scholars year to date. What do you have to do to give and support Push? It's really very simple. You can go to rainbowpush.org if you're on a computer and press donate. Give any amount. Every dollar is important. You want to talk to somebody, call us at 773-256-2775. You can give right now, any denomination that you choose. You can text the word PUSH, P-U-S-H, to 41444. Text on your cell phone. Most of you have a cell phone. Just text PUSH, P-U-S-H, to 41444, and you can give any amount that you feel comfortable giving. Or call us 773-256-2775, or go to rainbowpush.org and just press donate. Wherever you are, you can support us as we keep pushing for you.
We're here in the Great Harvard Evacuation, which is the first time that Harvard has evacuated.
Harvard University has required all undergraduates to move out of their dorms by Sunday, and also that classes will be ending and being transitioning to digital learning, which means online.
This has been quite the situation. There's so many emotions flooding my body. I don't know which one to process first. I know Harvard has been expressing a lot of support, which I greatly appreciate. However, the messages that were sent out were a little bit abrupt and, in my opinion, caused a lot of unneeded chaos on campus.
This experience has really been traumatizing for all of us here. Me, as a first-gen low-income student, I'm still trying to figure stuff out Like, how am I going to get everything back home? All the shipping costs, all the traveling costs.
An eviction notice has been put on many of our doors, and the administration's response and lack of subsidies and lack of financial aid and assistance through this matter is going to affect FGLI and international students more than anything.
But we do need to take into account that first generation and low income students may not have a way to get home, may not have a home to go to, and may not have food waiting for them. And we need to take care of those students.
I woke up ready to take a midterm, but since Harvard's email, I've done a complete 180, going from studying this past week to having to pack up and make the most of my last few days on campus with friends. And I'm literally moving out as we speak.
For seniors, we have to wrap up our entire collegiate career in 3 to 5 days, which is kind of hard to do, especially when you want to make the most of your time with your friends, and even make the most of your classes. So it's definitely been a very hard time for us, but something we're going to make the most of.
Now, we've been talking about the impact of coronavirus globally, and then we looked at how is it impacting the hospitality industry. You've heard from Sam Toya, the Illinois Restaurant Association. You've heard from Tyrone Studemeyer, who's with the Hyatt Hotel, how it impacts hospitality. And then you've heard from World Business Chicago, what they're doing to help small businesses deal with the impact of coronavirus. Now I want to talk about the impact on education, schools. Some of you have your children at home. You don't know what to do with them, especially the college students. They're home and they want to be grown like they were in college. So now let's look at the impact of the coronavirus. And I have two gentlemen with me. One, community college, Professor Ted Williams III, who's chair of social science department at Kennedy King Community College here in Chicago. And then we have Reverend J. Rex Tolliver, who is the vice chancellor at the University of Illinois. And he can give us great insight on what the University of Illinois is doing. We got to think about graduations. What's going to happen? What's happening with the students at UIC? And then we're going to come back to you.
Well, certainly it's a difficult time for students as they're having to make adjustments to their lives, really, and not only how they're going to academically complete their studies, but also how they're handling things emotionally. How are they able to get back to their home countries in some cases, home states, even their own locales, and so it's creating a lot of stress. But we're trying to do as much as we can in order to lessen the stress and provide options for them. For instance, at UIC. We have been very committed to ensuring that we are not doing some things like universities like Harvard. We're not throwing students off campus. When we're looking at the students that we serve in particular, first generation, lower socioeconomic background, it's important that we provide services to those students. And when you look at the whole goal about moving classes online, many of our students don't have Wi-Fi at their home. They don't have the technology. So we have to remain open to be able to provide those services for them. And we're doing that, and we're committed to doing that. But also for the students who are going home, we are also compassionate, and we're doing prorated refunds to those students to get those students back to where they are. One of the things that I'm very proud of is that in our division, our institution, we are committed to ensuring that all of our staff and students, including part-time students, are being paid throughout this pandemic. This is something that has happened to them, but we should remember who we are as an institution, that we're there not only to provide an education, but also be able to provide help to those students.
So these are the part-time students that are employed at the university?
Yes, all of our part-time students, part-time non-student, full-time students, all employees, we're trying to make sure that they continue to get paid throughout this pandemic.
So now you said they don't have to leave the city.
They don't have to leave their residence hall on campus.
Oh, so you're keeping the residence hall open?
We are keeping our residence hall open for those students who need to be there. Yeah. We're also keeping our dining halls open, so we're providing services. We've been averaging about 300 students a night, a day, that are still eating and living with us on campus.
Wow. And I'm going to come back to you because I want to talk about the number of homeless students that when you send people home, you have to have a home to go to. Right. And so I think that is phenomenal that you're keeping the school open.
We have some similar challenges. The technological gap is very large in our communities, and so the city colleges, I know particularly, I just got off a phone call myself a little while ago, that they're providing 4,000 laptops for our students. Because here we are expecting these students to transition into online learning, and many of them do not have the capability to do that. And so we are working through that very clearly as well. We also have food pantries at multiple campuses that we are dealing with now, trying to get rid of food, give it out to people, that sort of thing, to make sure that we're meeting those needs also. But I will tell you, I think this is going to change education for many years to come. You know, many people have said that maybe after spring break we might get back to face-to-face classes. I don't think we're going to get back this semester. We might not even get back over the summer. We might be looking at a 6-month turnaround time on getting back to face-to-face classes. And what do? Well, we are all set, blessedly, for online learning. We've been kind of preparing for that for years. That has its benefits and its downsides also, particularly as an instructor, knowing the challenges that many of our students face with learning in a context where they are fully responsible for everything themselves and no face-to-face contact.
Well, I think we have to be really careful, because as we look at artificial intelligence, as we look at math teachers being imported from all over the world, it's cheaper, and in many instances it might even be more efficient, but it does create social isolation. And it does require us, as you look at languages, we don't do languages well in the United States. Foreign languages.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it'll require us to think globally, acting locally, and then we have to figure out, how do you engage students and people in social interactions. That when people do homeschooling, the one thing I found out about the children, they don't know how to live in community.
And that's that is also the downside, as we are trying to prepare students to transition to careers, to interview, and then to work in team environments in our corporate world. When we have created all of these isolated silos, they're not used to it. They haven't been developed. So it is a thing that we have to proceed with caution with how we do it, so that we don't actually hinder them and their success in the future.
So now, what are y'all doing at the schools to make sure that physically people who are in those buildings are clear, their families are protected with this coronavirus that is spreading?
Well, I can say at UIC, aside from the national narrative that young people don't care and they're just doing whatever they want to do, at UIC, we're happy that we have implemented social distancing in the dining halls, in the residence hall, in the student centers, in the libraries. For instance, in dining, we've capped those numbers of students and when they can come into smaller groups. They're complying, they're happy with it. We've eliminated and spread furniture so students can't congregate in larger groups. So we're trying to take all of those measures, aside from extra deep cleaning and so forth. And we're also taking the opportunity for students who have chosen to go home to be able to create further isolation in the halls by separating roommates and so forth. So we're taking a number of those measures to do that.
I know we're doing this similar kinds of things. One thing I want to say is that, community college, community is in our title, right? And so the idea of us being isolated from one another is really antithetical to what we've tried to build. 50% of all undergrads today go through the community college system. There used to be stigma that community colleges were inferior and that sort of thing. And yet what people are doing now these days, 50% of students are choosing them because of financial reasons or geographic reasons and that sort of thing. And so we have to make sure that we still provide a space and place for the community to congregate, which has been extremely difficult. And so obviously we've done all the cleaning measures, that sort of thing. We don't have residency. We don't have a residence hall, and so we're not dealing with that in the same way. But there are a number of our students who are living in situations where they are housing insecure and they're food insecure, and City Colleges is marshaling its resources to deal with those issues.
So you still have food distribution?
We have our food pantries. I'm not sure how much we will be open through those. Those things are changing and that kind of thing. But we do have food pantries at all of the locations. We also have mental health resources at the locations as well.
And so I think those are some things that people need to know about, that I could go to Kennedy King, I could go to Malcolm X, I could go to one of the 6 city colleges for mental health needs. Sometimes you may have to take a child who's accustomed to being in school and they need someone to help guide them through this process. it's different now.
Yeah, it's very different.
And all of us are having. I hear seniors that are getting cabin fever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you give birth to a baby, you're supposed to stay in 6 weeks. Well, at the 5th week, I was like, I got to get out of the house. I need to talk to someone other than the child that can't talk back. I mean, even though you're married and you have a communication, your spouse is at work, you're there, you and a child.
But the great thing about technology today, though, is that you can actually create
FaceTime?
those virtually. We're actually still doing student engagement. We're still doing movie nights, and the students are connecting up during their gaming and
well,
so
you need
forth.
to tell parents how to do that.
So it's an opportunity.
What do you
the
do?
technology is there. Netflix actually has just announced that they're going to be streaming all of the movies that are going to be showing in the theaters currently. So that you can engage in that. You can create platforms. You can engage platforms.
Reverend Will
so the
Hall
students
and my
can
daughter
talk.
have told me to be socially isolated. And I don't want to be isolated.
No, that's what social media is for.
That is
right?
correct.
That's
That's
exactly
correct.
what
They're
it's
on
for.
social media. I'm not. They can give me the report on what's happening on Facebook. I need to talk to somebody.
Absolutely.
So y'all tell me I can talk to FaceTime?
You can call me.
I can call you.
Yeah, you can call me.
Okay.
We can
All
FaceTime.
right. We're going to FaceTime.
Yes,
so,
yes.
And, you know, we're joking, but these are things that we have to do in this new normal. This is a new world after COVID-19, coronavirus. It's not the end of the world. It's just a different world. And we live in a different world. I thank both of you for sharing. We're going to be talking later about what parents can do. You have your child at home for the first time since they went to school. You have them with you all day. I know it's challenging, so we're going to give you some resources, something you can do to keep your child out of your hair as you try to work from home. You're also parenting now, and that homeschooling, you will learn what it really means. But I thank both of you. You want to have some closing comments? You want to share? Yes? No?
Well, I'll say
30
very
seconds.
quickly, no, I just think that it is important. Community is still important, and we've got to find ways to still live our community. We need one another. I think this virus is showing us how much we depend on social interaction, and I hope that this is over quickly so we can get back to interacting together.
Yes, I would just say it is a stressful time, but let's keep the end goal in view. You know, you've come so far in your academic studies. Let's finish strong. And for those students who are in the Chicagoland area, especially at UIC, know that we're actually working very hard to plan another commencement and not cancel commencement, but just do a different ceremony in August or later in the year to give you that opportunity to celebrate with your family and friends.
Because I know what it feels like. Put that hood and that cap
Yes,
on. You
indeed,
want to do
indeed.
that.
And we're committed to figuring it out.
You're working for you parents. Don't give up. They're going to march somehow. Good morning. We are in the midst of a major drive to get more members, more people engaged and involved in Rainbow Push, supporting the programs of Push for Excellence and the Citizenship Education Fund. If you're interested in public policy and you want to help change the policies that impact those incarcerated, change the policies that impact students attending colleges and universities. If you want to be a policymaker, then you need to join Rainbow Push and join by paying your $35 right now. Some of you watch us every week. You listen to us on the radio. You're viewing us in social media. We need you to become a member. It's only $35 a year. If you believe in the scholarships that we give to thousands of students each and every year, we've awarded more than $10 million to scholars year to date. What do you have to do to give and support Push? It's really very simple. You can go to rainbowpush.org if you're on a computer and press donate. Give any amount. Every dollar is important. You want to talk to somebody, call us at 773-256-2775. You can give right now, any denomination that you choose. You can text the word PUSH, P-U-S-H, to 41444. Text on your cell phone. Most of you have a cell phone. Just text PUSH, P-U-S-H, to 41444, and you can give any amount that you feel comfortable giving. Or call us 773-256-2775, or go to rainbowpush.org and just press donate. Wherever you are, you can support us as we keep pushing for you. Welcome back. I know that we're supposed to be practicing social distancing, and I want you to do that wherever you are. If you're at work, if you're at home, you're in public spaces. But you still need to get social with us. So here's what you can do. You can become a member of Rainbow Push. You don't have to touch me. You don't have to come near me. All you have to do is go to rainbowpush.org and push donate. You can join us, or you can make a contribution. That's easy. You can do that from home. And you say, oh, I'm not connected to the internet. Well, I'll tell you what you can do. You can call us, 773-FREEDOM, 773-363-373-3366, Freedom on your telephone. Punch Freedom, those numbers, and you can call us, and then you can make a donation over the phone. We have our finance department. That's Monday through Friday. As you know, or may not know, until this coronavirus has subsided, or we get some new directives from the government, we will not be open on Saturdays. That's why you have this program, but it's not live with an audience. So what we need you to do, call us Monday through Friday if you have any questions or concerns. Well, you need to also get social with us. You can watch our information live on Twitter. You can go to join us on Twitter at Rev J Jackson, at RPC Coalition, or at push_excel. If you want to find out information about what to do with students and with children in your family. If you just want to keep tracking what Reverend Jackson is saying and doing, go to at Rev J Jackson on Twitter. If you want to know what the Rainbow Push Coalition is doing, go to at RP Coalition. Now, if you want to just watch us live, and we're live on Facebook, you can go to Rainbow Push Coalition's Facebook page, Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr.'s Facebook page, and you can look at the Push for Excellence pages. There's no reason that you can't get us, and that means you don't have to leave home. Wherever you are, you can get us. You can listen to us every Saturday on the radio, or you can watch us on the Impact Network. We thank Impact for all they do to bring our information and messages to you. Now, I know you're wondering, who is this young lady sitting next to me? Well, this is Miss Kalana Kale. She was working to direct our Historic Black College tour this year. Well, clearly that has been delayed.
Postponed.
Postponed. But we're going to do a lot of things. We're going to bring some virtual information in upcoming weeks. We're going to do some podcasts for college students. But right now, parents, I know you, what am I supposed to do with all these kids that are at home? These students that are at home.
Well, first you're supposed to love on them. So you're supposed to.
And the college kids who came home and want to be grown.
Exactly.
Now, tell me, what do we do with K-12? You have some information.
I do. So importantly, what we have to recognize and remember is that such a time as this is for our families to get together, learn together, and exercise the gap that our children, our students are having. So you may not be in full communication with your teachers, but you're in full communication with your students and your children at home right now. So for your younger age students, I have talked with a few professionals, okay? And it's very important that they use their social and motor skills. So not only that, they want to focus on the 9 areas of development and learning.
What age group are you talking about?
This is for the younger kids, so about 4 to 5 years old, as soon as you're about to go to preschool and things like that. Before then, of course, you know how we're developing our social motor skills with our babies. But at that preschool age, that's that pivotal age where they're beginning to learn. So the 9 areas of development and learning are social, emotional, physical, language, cognitive, literacy, mathematics, science and technology, social studies, and arts. So how do you do all that? So you can be doing it in the home. You can be throwing balls and playing and things like that with them.
Roll the ball inside.
Yes.
Roll it inside.
Roll it inside?
Yeah, because they'll throw it back at you.
Well, what if it's a softball?
Roll it.
If you have boys, I have a young boy. Sometimes you throw the ball.
If you have a basement.
And if you're in the South, you can let them go outside and play in the back and things like that. So it's important to get your children moving around and learning, reading, and things like that.
Okay, next
Going
age.
into the next age group. Now they're learning how to get online and things like not just playing. So let's look at coding. Okay, so there's an organization, Dream Hustle Code, that is taking this online, and they are actually teaching some kids and empowering them how to code. This is co-founded by Dream Hustle Code by Ian Brock, and you can go to dreamhustlecode.com for kids to learn how to 6th through 8th graders to learn how to code, as well as to just empower them to feel strength in that. It's important at that age too, not to take away all of the technology because they're just learning and really dependent on it, but to empower them behind it. So that's something that's a pivotal age group.
Okay,
when you go to the next age group.
Next age
okay.
group.
Now this group right here, this is the fashionistas, the sassiness,
You
feeling
talking about
their
the girls
testosterone.
now.
I'm talking about the young men as well. This
Okay,
is high school,
testosterone.
right?
Okay, high school.
9th through 12th.
Oh boy.
So, oh boy is right. Let them empower them because they're already independent in high school. So empower them to learn on their own. Go to iexcel.com. Go to Khan Academy.
iexcel.com.
Yes, Khan Academy. Now, remind you, we'll put these up on the screen as well,
watch
and
the
they'll be on our website
Because
as
if you're
well.
like me, you're not writing all this down.
You're
but
not
you
writing
should
any
be.
of this down?
No, let me write it down. Okay.
I can teach you how to code right now.
No.
You can go to Library of Congress. You can go to Smithsonian. You can go through K through 12. And I think what's really important is that you can come to our website. So we'll also be hosting with our young adults.
So what website? PushExcel.org?
Yes, they can
That's
go
what
to.
you do. Go to PushExcel.org. Don't try
And
to
we'll
write
have
all this down.
we'll have all of this on pushexcel.org. But on pushexcel.org, have your high school students that are creative mind come on, join on. They'll be able, starting next week, to join our entrepreneurship and readiness college preparedness class.
You teaching them how to run a business?
I'm teaching them how to get out there and
man.
get it. Yes, I am. So you can do this. Let them do social networking on Zoom. Let them go to Cisco WebEx, GoToMeeting, and a lot of our kids understand the Google Hangouts. So I think it's really important at all the different ages to understand how to learn.
We're going to bring Kalana Kale back to do a whole 30-minute a webinar really on parents, how you're not used to homeschooling. You don't even know what that is.
Mm-hmm.
Really, you've heard about it and you didn't think you had to deal with it. Now you do. And so we're going to have more lessons and we're going to do some podcasts and we'll post some videos online for you. Don't worry, we got you. It's going to be okay.
I think the last thing is that it's really important to listen to your child at this time period. Find out where those gaps are and be that servant leader in your home. Our children are in need of us to be the leaders and to cover them right now and to help them through this time period.
And you need to talk to them every day. My mother used to have dinner was our time and we had conversations. I know you've been working and running. Now that you're home with them, designate a time for you to have a conversation with your child. Ask them, what do you feel about this coronavirus? Because they're looking at it through social media and through friends and peers. You have to help guide them through this process.
And don't rely just on online social media networks.
No.
How did our ancestors learn science? How did Booker T. Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois, Hidden Figures, the females of Hidden Figures, how did, Cesar Chavez learn how to do social justice work? So it's important that you let them go outside, plant, that they learn about herbs, they learn about all different types of things in science, technology, and physical education.
And why do you use bleach? Why are we
Exactly.
using the hand sanitizer? What does it do? How does it impact things? So everything is a teachable moment, and you have to make that a teachable
Everything
moment
in
with
your home.
every age of your child. When you have to go to the grocery store to shop, take them and help them, let them help figure out the budget. And
financial literacy is big and huge. These high schoolers are investing. They are watching the stock market. They want to know about what Apple is doing, Nike is doing, Amazon is doing.
That's a whole class.
Take this time to learn from them.
And you can learn from them. Her son told us that we need to be buying Nike stock. I'm like, how does he know? He's watching this stuff. Your children are learning more than you know. And so that's why dinner or lunch is going to be important for you to have these conversations as a family. Go shopping as a family. It's stressful at first, but you get used to it. Thank you for tuning in. We got more to come. I wish I had more time, but we don't. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for tuning in to our International Saturday morning broadcast. We need your support. Here are ways to give to Rainbow Push Coalition. Text PUSH, P-U-S-H, to #41444 to support the work of Reverend Jesse Jackson Sr. and Rainbow Push Coalition. When you shop, Amazon gives. Visit Amazon Smile and select Push for Excellence as your charitable organization by starting your shopping at smile.amazon.com.
Get involved with the movement.
Somebody. I may be poor, but I am somebody.
Join the movement.
If you're not a member, become a member.
I am somebody. Fighting the most important battles for freedom and justice for all.
You made us change. Oh, trying to bring closer.
Join Rainbow Push.
But you're not pushing me away.
Join the movement.